Welcome back, friends. Hello. Good to see you. We're happy you're here. Today we have an awesome episode for you with a guest that we have known for over 10 years. His name is John Arnold, and he and his wife Becky have been promoting natural bodybuilding for 28 years. Natural bodybuilding has an awesome community, has an awesome following, and it's really interesting to hear just how things have evolved over the years for natural bodybuilding, where it's coming, where it's going, all the things that involve the evolution of it. Him and Becky competed themselves. They've promoted shows, they've hosted shows, they judge all over the country. John is a legend around the Kansas City area. He has gotten at least 100, if not thousands, of people into the sport of bodybuilding, and you can definitely hear his passion in his voice as he talks about it. So if you are a fan of bodybuilding in any capacity, this is a great episode for you. As always, guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate all your support, and let's get to the episode. John, you and Becky have been bodybuilding for how long? When did you guys get started?
Well, actually, Becky and I competed, I think we were probably 30 on our first show. Mm-hmm. And
so like 10 years ago.
Right. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Becky and I, actually, the first show we did together, little show in Liberty, Missouri. And I think it was at like old Jay's Gym or whatever up there. And some of the people might remember this. And but it was kind of a local deal, you know, and we thought, hey, let's jump in and have a little fun with that. And kind of got the bug. And
what was the bug for you personally?
Essentially what it comes down for me was I got out of college. I ran track in college, and I lifted in college. And it's kind of a wildcat at the time because the coaches told me not to run because it would make me slower, bulk me up. Just the thinking back then. You got to remember, this is like 1977.
Sure.
75, whatever. So, but I did it anyway, and it helped a lot. So I was always kind of through high school too. My buddies were all, and we were considered the meatheads and all that fun stuff. So, but the bottom line was I got in powerlifting after I got out of college and did really well with it. And we had our first kid, Matt, whatever. And I got back in the gym and I'm trying to pull 460 for a triple, right? And I felt a little click in my back. Well, I herniated my disc. That put me out. I thought, well, okay, I'm going to get into bodybuilding. And figured, I couldn't do that anymore, pretty much.
Don't have to have a strong back in bodybuilding.
Well, you do.
I'm just kidding.
Not doing a lot of maximal lifts in bodybuilding.
Correct.
Pretty much, yeah.
You can get away with a lot more volume.
Right.
So it was the first show that you did a natural bodybuilding show for listeners, explain to them, what you do and who you are real quick.
John Arnold, with my wife, Becky, we are the NANBF promoters for Kansas City, and we do one in St. Louis as well, Gateway. We do the Natural Southern States Classic. We just finished with our NANBF national show and our IPE World Championships just a couple weeks ago.
So you're the man as far as promoting natural bodybuilding in the country. Would you say that's a fair assumption?
I don't know if I'm the man.
You're the man.
But we try.
Yeah.
Has there been anybody that's been promoting natural bodybuilding longer than you that you know of?
I really don't know. I'll be honest with you. We have probably been promoting longer than some federations or even existed so far. By
a long shot.
Yeah, 28 years. Yeah.
So when you did your first bodybuilding show, was it a natural show?
No. I competed in NPC for like 6 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And did you have to go the full 7 years to start doing an NBF?
No. I was always natural when I competed over there.
Sure.
And it just got to the point where, it just, I knew I'd never, win a show probably, just because I didn't want to go down that road.
Sure.
Has nothing against any people want to do that.
Sure.
I want to tell you that right front.
Yeah.
It just my conviction and Becky's as well.
Yeah.
And so what happened, I was actually downtown and had these big, magazine racks at the time, way before Google. Social media didn't exist. And I found this magazine called Natural Bodybuilding Magazine, actually Natural Physique at the time. It was Chalo Publications, WNBF still. Uh-huh. And I thought, well, there's probably a calendar in the back. and I opened it up, and heck, there was a show up in Des Moines, and it was the NANBF at the time. And I thought, I'm going to try this. I go up there, and if I remember right, it was just all bodybuilding. And I believe it was about a 50 competitor show, and I was pretty surprised, to be honest with you. And did really well. I got like third, and, I could tell the people were like my size and really, really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. And so I kind of stuck with that, and but the problem was, I think the second year in, they kind of folded. It was kind of at the tail end of some other promoters and the Ori, whatever. Well, then Scott Dickerson, the original president of the NANBF, got with, I think it was Todd Mills and some other guys, and they put together the NANBF. They kind of brought it back, and so I competed with those guys, really enjoyed it, and I just told Scott he needs to put a show in Kansas City, and I'm like, I told him, you need to do that. He said, well, you think so? I said, well, larger population Des Moines. And so, I don't know, a month later he calls me, he said, hey, you want to do this? Can you help me out? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So can you scout out some facilities? And I said, sure. And I was outside sales pretty much at the time. And so we went around, looked at different places, and actually landed on where we're at right now. And but anyway, so what happened was what I eventually ended up doing is, he calls me, and I'm in print and graphic and whatnot too, and he said, "Did you ever get some trophies?" I said, "Yeah, I kind of know because I'm kind of in that business." I said, "But look, I don't want any politics, nothing, right? In this, I don't want anybody to know I'm helping. By the way, everybody." So we got the show off the ground, and I really wasn't involved in it in 1997, except for I competed, and I won the overall. And I'm like, I'm thinking. And you got to remember back then, we didn't have phones, instant pictures, all that.
Sure. So
I was kind of bittersweet, The next day I had to go to 1 hour photo, get some photos done. And I'm like, okay, it's pretty legit, So, but that night he kept saying, you conquered this thing. You need to promote it for me. I go, no, I got 2 kids. I got a full-time job. And he's, well, just think about it. So he called me, I don't know, a few weeks later. Hey, you thinking about it? I go, well, not really, and we'll talk to your wife and whatnot. All right. So we talked to Becky. Said, well, hey, if this screws up your job, you're done. Right. And so we went halves on the next show, and it about doubled in size. So, we're going, now this might be legitimate. And I'll tell you honestly, I saw that happen, and all the years that I was competing, on the other side of the coin, I'm in the back, and it was kind of that thing of, this is so unfair. And the guys in the back that didn't want to do drugs, they're just, I thought, I'm going to do this for those guys. That's kind of what it was. And also the
kind
fact
of gave you a why, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm, and my deal was, I wanted to bring that joy that I found when I found the natural side, because I didn't want to go there on the other side. And that's really what it's all about. It's all about fairness, pretty much. And that's all I wanted to do.
So, for those who might not know, steroids in America were legal up until 1992. Is that correct?
Right.
So can you give us like explain to us what the culture around lifting was like when you had bodybuilding, and at the time it's newly illegal to use steroids? Was that 1994? Or 92?
I think so, right around there. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, I guess give us an explanation of the culture around lifting at that time, and then also, why, when something is legal like that, why you were deciding, I don't want to take steroids.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, from my standpoint, when I was in college, and a shot putter, good friend of mine, he was telling me, hey, I'm going to look at maybe do those things. I go, well, I'm going to go to the library and look at the PDR. And I started reading all the side effects. I'm like,
for our listeners, what is the PDR?
It's a physician's desk reference lab, and it has all listing of all drugs out there. I don't even know if they even have it anymore. I'm not real sure, but it's about 3 inches thick. And I just got in there and started looking at Dianabol. And I'm like, well, I really don't want to do that. I don't want to lose my hair. Mm-hmm. Already getting thin.
Yeah.
And the other side effects of testicular atrophy. Just. It scared me.
Totally.
And I told him about it, and I think he kind of stayed away from it too. But the bottom line is, I think it's all about, yourself and where you feel like, you want to go. And I was a pretty good athlete in college. And I thought, do I really want to go that far? And I felt my natural ability was pretty decent. I had pretty balanced physique. Basically, my brother, it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm like in 6th grade, and my big brother was into weights. And he always told me, he goes, hey, when you do one side of your arm or the muscle, you do the other side. Always do the front and back.
Balance.
I'm like, yeah. And I always thought that way. Well, he was right. I'm like in 6th grade.
Well, it's cool that he taught you that at such a young age.
I know. It just kind of stuck with me, so.
And you're in a spot where, Kyle's saying, like, you were around for the, the ascendance of drugs and how steroids were very prominent. Obviously, at this time, it wasn't as out as it is now, but, in professional sports, everybody was on them as well. Professional baseball was when it was really starting to happen. And the Mark McGuires and Jose Cansecos, all this was really in the prime of their years of doing that. And people were changing their shape of their bodies real fast.
Right.
And so for our listeners, if you are to compete in a NPC or IFBB show, it does not mean that you are taking steroids at all. And like you said, John, you were competing in NPC for 6 years. And but what it does mean is that it is not tested. And so you have the freedom to use drugs if you'd like to. If you'd want to use that advantage or that edge, you can. But it's not a must. But if you are to compete in an NANBF show, it needs to be that you have not taken any form of drugs. And I believe, is that for 7 years? Is that right?
7 years right. And then at the show, we do a polygraph before, everybody polygraphs before the show.
Lie detector test.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And then when you do go compete on stage, all of our top 2 competitors in open class, pro qualifiers, that kind of thing, we pull urine on everybody. But we also pull urine on anybody else that we think we should, just outright signs, whatever. And in the last few years, we've been doing a lot of like out of season testing. So in other words, we see a pro in the audience or it's a trainer or whatever, we have them drop urine too at the show. So.
Wow. So my question is, out of all the tests that you guys do, what ratio do you think have come back failing?
I'm going to say maybe 10%, but I think a lot of it's due to the fact that basically I think people know that NANBF is pretty serious, IPE, about what we do, and we've got a long history of actually doing what we do. So a lot of this is all deterrent in my book. Hey, why take the chance to go over there and get caught?
Right.
And now
that's always boggled my mind is when you have the NPC where you can, compete and do whatever you want. You can blast whatever you want and no one's going to say anything to you about it. And then people still try and sneak into a natural show and get away with taking stuff. And here's the thing too. It's kind of easy to tell when somebody has been using anabolic steroids. Their shoulders are going to be more capped. They're going to have a lot more density. Typically, natural bodybuilders are going to be leaner, I would say, on average. And somebody, when they have that look, it's kind of easy to tell. Is that a way that you guys use? But then again, there are people out there who don't. What's the natural bodybuilder, Doug?
Doug Miller.
Doug Miller is one of those guys where you look at him, you're like, dude, that is ridiculous.
Impressive.
Right. And I'll tell you what, there's David Weaver, a local guy. Yeah. He was right there with Doug. And I worked out with David up in Iowa after we were judging the show in between. And that guy, he was like squatting 550, for sets and reps. I'm like, he wanted me to spot him. I said, I'm not dying today. I'm stepping back. Yeah,
they're outliers too. That when people try and dissect that kind of stuff on the internet, I'm like, I always think back. I played football in college, and some of the guys that I played football with, I know we're not using steroids, but we're 280 pounds, and you could see their abs.
Absolutely.
And so they're genetic outliers out there where you're just like, it's really hard. It's easy to tell sometimes depending on what somebody looked like prior, but it's hard to tell if you just have a snapshot. So if you've never seen, what somebody looked like in the past, it can be harder to judge because I have seen guys that are, 200 20 pounds and they're shredded, and
Right.
that's just natural.
Right.
Their parents are the the reason that they look, partially the reason they look like that. Not trying to underplay, somebody's hard work,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, it's a you guys have a serious. It's hard to consistently, put out a good product when, your product is totally dependent on making sure that, there is fair competition across the board.
Right, right.
Is that expensive to do for your federation, is to consistently test people like that? How many tests are you guys doing in a year?
We actually have to do every show at least 20% of the contingency. And
Which
like I
those
said,
blood tests are like $200 a piece, correct?
no.
Oh, they're
okay.
not.
So it's all urine.
Oh, okay.
Right. And through our Abbott labs, we do the initial one. That's gas chromatography. What we've been doing is if someone goes hot, and especially pros and whatnot, because it's about money, we will send theirs to what's called Smyrtle Labs. It's in Oregon, and they do the RMS, which is like $450 for each one of those. The other ones are a little less than $100. And then Smyrtle does actually I think it's $120 each, something like that. And they do the SARMs as well in that one. But primarily the first one is more about seeing if the ratio goes over 6-to-1. And that's your testosterone, testosterone ratio.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we do. And that marker pops, and we have to call them.
Further investigate from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to call them and talk to them about it. And usually if they say, okay, all right, and they just kind of go away, then you know that they're pretty much, they were positive for sure.
With that being said, John, you have people who you said, it's like, let's say just from a rough guesstimate, just roughly 10% of these tests are coming back with a fail. But of those 10%, how many do you think have malicious intent versus is in like they went in knowing that they were trying to pass themselves off? Because we have the amount of people that have failed that'll, scream bloody murder that they went to, a supplement store and got something from there.
Oh, it's always the tainted supplement.
That's right. That's right.
They put something in there that was not what's supposed to be and all this. And it's like, we fall on the knife on the sword sometimes at supplement stores, and you're like, dude, that creatine did not make you pop. That caffeine did not make you pop. And, you telling me that the ratio is what you're looking at from that 6-to-1 is like the first thing you look at.
Right.
That seems like pretty, I don't know, far away from the creatine levels being too high.
I've always loved the idea that a supplement company went ahead and put something that's more expensive than the actual raw supplement itself into the supplement. You're like, no one would do that. Why would they do that? They're trying to increase margin.
Well, I will tell you that and I don't think it's happening anymore.
Sure.
Because I think social media calls these people out big time. But there was a point where there were people putting, a little bit of this in there.
Well, here's the difference.
Those
to get
existed.
that market share.
Those were in test boosters. So the person was already taking there
wasn't a pre-workout that had juice in it.
It depends on what they're blaming it on, because what happened is the market of pro hormones was huge. 10 years ago, we were selling a lot of pro hormones, and what people would, what a company would do, there would be like a no-name company that would buy pro hormones or whatever. And those are the companies where you're like, you need to stay away from that company because who knows what's in there.
Well, for sure.
But like the creatine or like a, a pre-workout.
Caffeine
that's by a reputable company. You're like, no.
Well, but I tell people all the time, I say, if you're out there buying that gray area product, like off online.
Yeah. A SARM
if it sounds like it, smells like it, reads like it, whatever, don't take it. Just wait and see if anything pops on that stuff. And I'm the guy that, for example, we have it's called info.net, whatever, and whenever that comes across, we use Swell and whatnot for trying to communicate with our with our competitors and possibly people out there that are kind of wondering if they did something wrong. So they'll actually send that note through an email, and I'm the guy who has to do. I'm the czar. I have to dig in and find out, if that's legitimate or not. And I've got to get recommendations a lot of times. And usually what happens is it's a pro hormone but then not. I mean, it's probably not. It's like it has like the chemical name, but there's like 2 or 3 different chemicals in there that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
So it's really BS, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
So to be direct again on that question,
Yeah.
of that 10%, how many of that 10% do you think have malicious intent, as far as they were trying to pass themselves off?
Trying to be sneaky.
Or are they trying, or they really did take, and like, I guess, what's the ratio of people that, you know, really popped because they took a pre-workout?
I'm going to say they pretty much know what they're doing pretty much all the time. And you're going to get this, well, my coach gave me something in a plastic bag, and just take these, you know, just trust me. Well, that might happen here and there, you know, but the thing is, if you do that, then you're pretty much
Guilty by association.
Exactly.
There. Yeah, you gotta have some discretion, right?
So, you know, we got to draw a line. I mean, simple as that. So if you do not pass a polygraph, it's a 5-year penalty. Can't compete, right? But a long time it was like 7, 7, and 7, right? 7 years off if you go urine. And since I kind of handle that stuff, and I always thought, you know, let's go 5 because that gives them a possible chance they might come back, and they may not send them down the road to go ahead and do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? It gives them hope better.
Exactly. Yeah. This is about, you know,
Right.
them wanting to, you know, stay in love with the sport too.
Right. But when I see a urine go and somebody lost their pro card on stage against someone, actually lost their day in the sun, their family and all that came to watch, that, I'll be honest with you, just pissed me off. When I see that, and it's just a horrible situation. And, you know, we got to call the guy and go and get their trophy back, and sometimes that doesn't happen and all that fun stuff. And I thought, you know, we put together, went to 5. Now it's life, though. You go urine on us, you're gone. No more.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. I think you got to, you know, to respect the federation for what it stands for.
Exactly.
What you're saying, losing that day in the sun, I can't imagine, you know. It's just not how you picture it whenever, you know, someone, you know, becomes a pro after the fact. I want to say Elliot, who used to work for us, had this happen to him in some degree, right? Didn't he get his pro card after the show?
Yeah.
How did that work out? Do you remember? Is this an example of that?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we had him come up on stage at another show and gave him his card, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in front of everybody.
Sure.
Much. And that's about the only thing we could do.
Best case scenario, right?
And that's
what else
how
can
we
you do,
usually
right?
handle it,
But
yeah, if they want to do that, we'll do that. Absolutely.
Have you seen the documentary Icarus
Yes. Is it the one
about doping?
Yeah, the cyclist guy.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's great.
It's so good. It's so good. That kind of opened my eyes to just the extent people will go to cheat. And
sophistication is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. The people that are working on trying to get around those tests.
What I found interesting about that was the people that are actually supposedly protecting everyone was teaching you how to beat the test.
Oh yeah.
If anybody hadn't seen that, go out and look at it.
The doping agency that was running for Russia was actually the one that was like teaching them how to dope. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Which is
in the side of the building and it's just crazy.
And it's also crazy because they were like, you know, if you think Russia's bad, China is 10 times worse.
Oh god.
But do you guys, does the IPE, do you guys have somebody who's focused on that, who's trying to counteract, you know, the work that people are probably trying to do behind closed doors to work around the tests that you guys have?
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Protein Bros podcast. Just a reminder, we do not run any ads on this podcast. We'd really love to grow it though and make sure that we further our mission of getting our voice out to as many people in the Midwest as possible who love fitness. If you've taken the time to listen, we really appreciate your time. Please like, comment, share the podcast, let people know about it. It's our only ask along the way. Let's get back to the episode.
It's pretty much myself, Ryan. You know, we that's one thing I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, you guys have your core values, right? And in First Forum, you guys are kind of in that. We saw that and loved that. So we started our own core value program within our promoters. So you have to abide by it. So the bottom line is, it's like this. We continue this because that's our number one, is to create a fair playing field, a healthy playing field, to make sure we are protecting our competitors' investment. Because I'm telling you right now, people spend a lot of money with trainers, a lot of time in the gym, And they should expect us to do what's right for them. And that's exactly what we're about. That's number one. And so we are constantly looking at things. Every once in a while you get someone that kind of slides by, and you got all these other federations out there saying, "Oh, look. But the bottom line, that just makes me work harder. I mean, I'm not kidding. It happened a couple of years ago, and that's why we kind of changed our going to life and all that fun stuff, and we started really using Smyrtle a lot more on some of our drug tests. So we're always looking at trying to improve, because it's a cat and mouse, no doubt, guys. But my commitment is to my competitors. If you're going to compete natty, I'm just going to tell you that's what we're about. I mean, that's why we exist. That's why I've been doing this 28 years. I mean, seriously, so.
When it comes to recruiting for these shows, how has the strategy changed for you over the years with social media and with, there's so many things, but here's the thing, like, you were telling me, off the mic one year, you told me, it's not something that you naturally love doing. So it's just, how have you guys had to evolve, you and Becky, to continue to promote these shows?
What I find funny at our national meetings, I'll look at these guys and I'll go, what if we didn't have social media? How would you promote your show? I don't know. I mean, it's just so funny.
Right.
Because we rely on that so much now. So, it's okay. Originally what we did, we go out and, bring out posters, kiss babies, and, meet people at gyms, gym owners, whatnot. And hey, put my poster up.
Sure.
And then we would also, anybody that would enter our show, we would call, say, hey, can you guys, we're going to send you some posters, you can put them in your gym. So we get that out there. I'm probably giving away too much stuff here, but anyway.
I don't think we're breaking any mold here.
Right.
I know for us, whether it was in Springfield or, in St. Louis, we've been a big mouthpiece for you guys for a long time, when it comes to shows, because obviously we have a ton of people that come into our stores that are interested in bodybuilding. And I mean, that's a great way to.
Yeah, we've always proudly hung your posters for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But
I brought the new ones in today, by the way.
Yeah. That's great.
Boom.
So the posters is one thing, and you guys have, what I love about what you and Becky do so much is that you're not afraid to have those conversations, like you're saying, where, I can imagine, hundreds of bodybuilders that got their start because you shoulder tapped them at the gym and introduced yourself and let them know,
sure,
hey, you've got a gift here.
I do it all the time. Liberty Gym, they probably get tired of me doing that. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, I see young guys, and I love to talk to young guys like high school. Right now, I'm trying to challenge. And by the way, out there, I got a fellow at Liberty North that's going to compete. I said, maybe the guys at Old Liberty, maybe Staley, get a team together. It'd be kind of fun. But that's what I love to do that, because I want to introduce them to the sport of bodybuilding, and hopefully they stay natty.
Mm-hmm. Do you pay attention to bodybuilding outside of natural? Like, did you watch the Olympia this past weekend?
I do, but I don't know who won.
Yeah.
Right now, I will tell you.
It's pretty wild finish this year.
I know. I saw who was like the top three, I think, somewhere.
Well, Derek Lunsford won the Olympia this year, and he's the first ever Open 212 Olympia winner.
Really? Oh, interesting.
Right? Correct me if I'm wrong here, right? It's first ever.
Yeah, he's the first guy that's won 212, and then he also won Open Heavyweight.
Yeah. One thing I looked at was, and with us, it's more about, you don't have to be the biggest guy on stage. You got to be balanced and symmetrical. And when I looked at some of the pictures, I'm like, I don't know, what's Derek look like? What's he?
He is the smallest waist competitor.
Okay.
He's the one that basically has the best shape out of everybody that's a top level competitor.
So you got to remember,
He looks pretty natural, right?
Right.
But unbelievable.
I haven't seen him before.
What'd you think, Kyle, about Hani just walking off stage?
Yeah, not very good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
But you look at that guy, see his calves match pretty much his biceps.
Yeah.
He's got a nice huge V taper and sweepy legs and all that. It's kind of like, if you look at our natural side, it's just a miniature version of that.
Sure.
There is a lot of high-level IFBB pros that got their start in natural bodybuilding. I think Kai Green is probably the most popular of those.
Just as a shout out to Justin Williams, who has been on our podcast a couple times. Justin got a start, became an NANBF
pro,
then became an IPE pro.
Yeah.
won the open overall in bodybuilding, and did that for, I think, a couple years before he decided to get into PC, and now he's an IFBB pro.
Yeah.
But just, absolutely got to start there and loved it.
Well, it's kind of funny, and I don't know if this is off color, but we always laugh, like with our judges a lot. It's kind of like, it's called genetics, and when that sperm hit the egg and the two come together, sometimes you just can't beat that. Mm-hmm. And if you train hard and you work out right for balance, you're going to be unbeatable. I mean, like you're talking about the 280-pound guy in college. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? I bet his parents are huge too.
Yeah,
sure. Do you guys, Carl Sievert, you guys seen him before? The guy's a huge guy out of Minnesota. He's probably one of our biggest guys right now.
How do you spell Sievert?
Sievert, Sievert, Carl.
Luke's going to make it happen here.
Yeah. So, maybe we can do the magic there.
Yeah.
You can pull up probably IPE Worlds, maybe.
Mm-hmm. He's got it.
Yeah.
He's got Carl right here.
Look at this dude.
God dang.
Unbelievable, man. That vascularity is supernatural.
But it's funny, Carl, I'm going to say Carl, and he'll probably get mad at me, but I know him pretty well. I think he might have been, he's about 5'10", I think. He might have been 210-ish, maybe.
That's pretty big.
He's 210 on stage?
Maybe.
That's humongous.
205.
That's, anything 200 pounds is just unbelievable.
But you're not talking 250, 260, 270,
Right. But still just wildly impressive.
Yeah, but think about it. He's a natural guy. He's probably in the off season sitting around 240.
Probably,
Yeah.
That's unreal.
He might not let himself get that fat.
A couple of striated glutes, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, right.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's what's funny, too. You always hear, and you read on social media, people, there's no way a natty can get that lean without taking something. No. You can't. Believe me. I mean, look, you guys, I'm sure you guys know Cliff Wilson, John Gorman. These guys know how to get these guys shredded. I've worked with a lot of competitors myself, not as much because that's not my main thing. And you can get it down. I mean, I had a guy with 2.7% body fat on caliper,
Sure.
I mean, unbelievable. I mean,
it's what natural, I feel like when I've watched both sports as a spectator, it's what the natural side I think really hangs its hat on is they really bring in the conditioning.
Right.
I think, in being around, we were both from Springfield, so we knew John Gorman really well and been around natural bodybuilding for a long time, but it just seems like natural bodybuilding, when you're dieting down to that low level of body fat percentage, all they do is they extend the time period in which they're dieting. Where an NPC might try and diet somebody down in a 10-week or 12-week, prep. These natural guys are going out to 20 weeks and bringing them down over a longer period of time because they have to preserve the muscle tissue. And they have no gear on the back side of things that's helping to preserve that muscle tissue,
or increase the fat loss, etc.
Yeah. Right. It is. It becomes more of an art, that's for sure, and less of a science project.
Well, it's like I always tell people. I say the thing is we can't rely on that.
Yeah.
So you got to do an anabolic food diet. And how do you do that? I mean, that's the secret to all the key. You got to find that key on everybody pretty much. So, and there's all different methods. People go that way, and I'm sure I've talked to you guys. I'm a big keto guy. I've been doing that. I mean, before they call it keto, it was when I was about 35. I jumped on that, so I've been doing it like 31 years. So I'm still doing it that way. So
I think one of the first like competition diets I did was out of
carb cycling.
The Beverly Nutrition carb cycle. If you remember that was a big in the natural bodybuilding community too. But it was basically 2 high days, 1 low day, 2 high days, 1 low day, and that was the first time that I'd ever done any kind of carb manipulation. And it was crazy, how much easier it was to lose body fat doing that.
Right.
And I was probably 22 at the time, maybe 23. I don't know. And
pretty wild.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, I knew. I talked to Sandy and Roger Reitinger that owns that.
Mm-hmm. Owns Beverly International.
Oh yeah.
And for our listeners, Beverly International is just a very well-known supplement brand amongst the natural bodybuilding community. And that brand has seemingly slowly, fallen away from being, well known, if you will. But one of the best supplement brands you could possibly try. Supplement Superstore still probably carries their stuff.
Yeah.
and some of the best tasting protein of all time.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
What was interesting, guys, is Becky was competing at Park Hill, and I think it's Don Heflin, I think his name was the original owner of that. And I walked up to him and I was talking to him about metrics, right? Because that was a big deal, right? And so Becky's on stage, whatever, or later. So I'm after the after party. We're at like an Applebee's or whatever, and he comes walking in and, come on over here. You want to sit with us and eat? And we just got there. Absolutely. Oh my God, it was the best thing ever. I'm telling you guys, this is what's cool about being in this as long as we have. I got a ton of stories, the old man where you at thing, But what was great was talking to him about, basically the purity of products. And at the time, it was the amino acid tablets, and they had a big deal. And you guys remember social media? I mean, no,
Ultra 40s.
Right. Well, then you got yeah. And then you got what was that? Muscle Media 2000. Remember that guy? Mm-hmm. Well, they were doing these tests on these things at nitrogen level. The better they was, the more nitrogen, whatever. And so what was interesting is he was telling me about how a nameless company, but the same company supplying the ingredients for his as his other company, and the other company's product was like not very good,
heavily diluted.
Right. Well, that's exactly what was going on, and so the guy that was actually selling the ingredient was afraid that he was going to lose that business, thinking something was wrong with the product he was selling. So he asked Heflin if he would talk to him about it. And he goes, so he called me and said, we're just cutting it. Flat out.
Just diluting it.
Yeah. Right. So he just said, hey, the thing is, he said, as you see, I'm traveling around selling my product versus doing a lot of advertising, spending a ton of money on that because I want my product to be the best. I put my money in the product more. So that was really impressive. And then he said, hey, after I get done with this tour I'm doing, so I'll send you a diet. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, maybe. Mm-hmm. Sucker shows up. I'm like, dude, this guy, integrity. I was really taken aback with that. I mean, that was really, really cool, so there's some really, really neat things that happen. You meet so many people doing this. I mean, like I said, I've talked to thousands of athletes.
Well, it's fun to people. You find people that are appreciative of the purity of the sport.
Yeah.
And of doing it the right way, and they really believe in doing things, the best that you possibly could, versus cutting a corner where you can save a buck.
Right. I mean, really, to be honest with you, Becky and I never got in this sport to make money. It was all about the sport, and we still are that way. I mean, you got to have that in your heart,
right? And
if you stray from that, guess what? I really believe
everybody can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Absolutely.
She
was pretty good then, didn't she?
Yeah. What show is that for you guys?
That was actually the Central Midwest USA, I think it was. And Becky was a lot better than me. Every time she compete, she'd win. I got like second in that show. She was first.
That's awesome. Hey man, she's a badass, no doubt about it.
Still is.
You guys, you've done, these natural bodybuilding federations. There's been so many, right, over the years, and there's been a lot of name changes and so forth. Could you please describe to us what the most ideal natural bodybuilding federation would look like to you?
Well, first of all, we'd have to combine a lot of us together and have a like mindset in regards to core values, period, like we're talking about. Drug testing's got to be right across the board. Everybody's got to make sure their QC's there.
What's that?
Quality control.
Quality control.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, that's what, we're big on that, seriously. So, we hold our promoters to that as well. So, it's what's sad is the fact people, you guys need to come together. Well, we've tried. And I'll be honest with you. Our federation, we're the only ones that really have extended all the lease out there and have actually worked with the WNBF. We've worked with the OCB for a certain period of time. Had falling outs, which is sad because when we were OCB, we were killing it. I mean, because they were kind of handling the East and West Coast, and we were real strong down the center, and that's the best scenario you can have.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like that thing we keep, that pie in the sky. Hopefully, we can get there again. And it's just a matter of giving up a little bit of your sand in your sandbox.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Even when you guys were working with OCB, were you guys combining federations there, or just helping each other out?
Well, what we were doing, we were handling all the Midwest stuff, and Fred had his pro show, and so we were feeding the Orton Cup and the IFPA at the time, and it was great. It was a great partnership. It really was. Really worked good. Just had a falling out of actually the two owners of OCB at the time, and I really believe that kind of hurt bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding as a whole. For sure.
It's when you're trying to build prestige. What was before IPE? Was it IFPA?
Yeah, IFPA. That's what we were part of.
An IFPA pro. And so when you became an IPE pro, it was like, well, that's the sad part, right? Is that, someone's pro card, right, is no longer a thing that people can still win. Right.
Well,
and so, you're trying to build that lasting power. And so I think you guys are doing that now at the IPE, which I think is really cool.
Well, it's kind of came down to, we separated, and, I had the conversation with Fred on the phone. I say, look, you put on one of the best pro shows in the country. I mean, I've been to Yorton. I've been to, and you've been handling this federation for, I don't know, at that time, 15 years or better. I said, we need to start our own. We got to quit relying on these other people. And, basically what we've had happen just now.
Team up.
Yeah. And so we decided, hey, we're just going to do our own. And I think it's working out really, really well. That's, a good indication of what we just did this last week. It really was. We had people from the UK to California, Florida, all over the place, guys. I mean, I think sometimes people think that, our shows are just kind of like mom and poppy, local. No. The nationals, we had people from all over the country. We had probably 20 different states there, and probably a good 25, 30 states. I don't know for the worlds. It's pretty broad based, surprisingly. So.
Yeah, no, I've worked some of those world shows and met people from different countries several times.
Yeah.
With that being said, where do you want it to go from here? What does the ideal next 5 years look like for the NANBF and IPE?
I knew you were going to ask that. And, it's the expansion thing, like you were talking about. I'm really don't like to actually expand into other territories because all you're doing is watering things down more.
Oh, I didn't know we were expanding. I didn't know I was talking about expanding in other territories.
No. So you're just talking about what we're going to look like in 5 years, right?
Sure.
So the deal is, I would rather us combine with somebody if we can.
Sure.
Because now you're not adding shows in a certain geographical territory. So then the shows will have plenty of people in the show.
Right. We're not devaluing the shows.
You water it down.
Right.
And the worst thing you can get is, you say, well, I'm giving away this many pro cards. And what happens is you don't have enough for that particular division to give that card out. Like for us, it's got to be a minimum of 5, which is kind of low anyway. But and the problem is when you have other federations come in, which has happened in the last few years, they're giving away cards with less, and we're finding out.
Yeah, devaluing a pro card.
Right. And so that kind of hurts, I guess, natural bodybuilding as a whole, where we're at right now. And so we're sticking to our 5, whatever. But the bottom line is, if we expand what we're doing, it kind of waters it down. It's better to kind of join together. You know what I mean?
It is kind of a delicate balance because it's like you need to have enough people at the show where the competition is good.
Right.
But if you have too many people at the show, then the show gets clunky and it becomes, drawn out and it's too much.
Right.
It's hard to manage.
It's undesirable for a competitor, right? So you kind of have to find that balance.
You guys have done a phenomenal job, I think, with that aspect of it as far as how you guys run your shows. I think you and Becky are the best in the game at that.
I appreciate that.
Always so streamlined. Everybody's out of there by like 4 p.m. someday. It's wild how you guys
the running format you guys do is great.
And that's why we did it.
Yeah.
But I want to
people want to get out of there and have a nice dinner with their family.
Right.
They're hungry.
What I would challenge you guys on is, we can't control how other people and other federations are going to run their stuff, and we can pull our hair out watching other people not value the same things that you guys value as far as your values go as a federation, right? And so rather than do, like, I guess you just might not have the bandwidth or the amount of people on your team to be able to pull it off, but it's, let's say I'm watching how another federation's handling things and they're just simply not valuing things the same way you guys do, and they're not putting on a show the same way that you and Becky can, what makes you not want to just go into their territory, put on the badass show that you need to put on, and outlast them? You know what I'm saying? To expand natural bodybuilding in the framework in which you guys value it the most.
Well, we have expanded. I'm going to judge a show in Arizona this weekend in Tucson.
Are you going to judge a show, or are you going on vacation? Because I love Arizona.
Tucson's beautiful around this time of year.
I'm going to tell you what, it's like Colorado, that was the idea, but, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You guys are doing show in Loveland, is that right? Loveland, Colorado?
Well, it's Loveland right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's Kwaku Safal. He's putting the show, by the way, at Arizona this weekend. And we've actually, on the East Coast, we started a show in Virginia. And
who is we when you say that?
NANBF.
Gotcha.
IP, right?
Yeah.
So, Shelly, you're out there. We're looking to expand a lot, actually, if we can. I mean, the difference between us, I think, and other people, we don't just bring on anybody. We do a lot of vetting, and we also do a lot of mentoring as well, because we want to make sure the shows are as good as mine.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the whole bottom line. I mean, anybody that takes on a show with us, we got their back, and we really help them a lot. And one of the things too I want to stress too is, and we didn't really know this, but to some degree, our pro shows, our federation actually subsidizes the shows, which I don't think anybody else does that out there.
For our listeners, could you help us describe what that means?
It means that it's all the amount how big your show is. It can be the purse money for pro shows. It's up 25% to 50% of the show purse money. So that helps the promoter. It really does. Takes a little burden off them. And then also, if they can get really good sponsorship, they can actually increase that, as far as that purse money. So that's something that we've been doing for a long, long time. And we believe that's why we have a lot of tenure. Mm-hmm. People stay with us. We don't lose promoters because of that. We really don't. I mean,
if you don't lose promoters, you also don't lose sponsors as easily as well.
Right. Yeah. Consistency, actually. And then in your competitor base, I'm going to say, of course, we know our competition. I look at the per capita show, and we're still probably the largest out there, number-wise.
What's your most proud show? This is going to be fun. An exercise in what you've done in the past. What is your most favorite show you and Becky have ever promoted?
Our baby, Southern States, the original one.
What year?
Oh, God. It's kind of, well, I'm going to tell you what, there's probably 5 years of like 250, 260 competitors, and you're talking about, and we learned a lot. You're talking about managing it, but gosh, we got it done. And what happened was we decided to do our Friday night show. And this live judging thing, that's what was born out of it. We had a guy that was really good with Excel, and we came up with we have a computerized tally sheet form set up. So when you're judging, you send it down, it's just automatic. That way you didn't have to have a break to do your tally, right? That's why they used to do that. It was all hand done, your tally. So they take a break and they come back. So we thought, how are we going to get this done? We got to start the show at 6. We got to get out there before midnight,
Right.
And, the guy that did it, God rest his soul, Mr. Mark, love the dude. And, he kind of got us on the right track of doing that. And that's why we do that now. So we brought in the whole complete show the next day as well. And that's how we do that. And for the running format, if you guys want to know what that means, is you walk out on stage, do your mandatory poses against everybody, come back, say in bodybuilding, you do your routine, and you're awarded immediately. You're only there maybe for 3 hours versus a whole day. Right. So it makes it really nice.
Whole day, 12 hours minimum.
Right.
Wow. NPC shows be going till 1 a.m.
Routinely.
Well, and what's good about this, especially right now, it costs a lot to do a lot of things now, because of inflation. So you're not having to maybe spend the night where you had to do it before.
Yeah.
Your family, that's big money.
What would you? How many shows a year are you judging specifically?
Oh, Becky and I, I'll bet we're 8 to 10 a year.
So let's say we have somebody listening to this podcast and they're just getting into bodybuilding, just wanting to sign up for a show. What do you as a judge tell them they need to focus on the most to get the best place and the most out of their first show?
Okay, you were talking about how long you prepare out.
I would just say the final product. What
Right.
should they,
Well,
should they be focusing on while they're training up until the show?
Conditioning for one, but really, I'm going to tell you right now.
What are you guys judging on conditioning? Are you looking at like the back of the glutes?
It's an overall thing.
Okay.
And having striated glutes doesn't mean you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about, we were talking about a minute ago, symmetry. Be honest with you, when I judge a pro show, it's actually sometimes easier because everybody's lean, everybody's ready to go, better posing, and you look up there and it's a symmetry thing. As long as they're as lean as the other guy, that kind of thing. So, or to that criteria. But here's the deal. You better be prepared to be able to actually show it correctly too, and in a symmetrical manner. I mean, I always
posing.
Say, that's really huge at that point. It's kind of like everything leads up to that, but then your actual craft, just like, Pat Mahomes, guess what? He can practice. When it comes down to the game, you better be able to deliver that, I mean, so the bottom line is the actual competition is how well you actually, show your physique.
How much posing should somebody do leading up to a show?
Tons.
Yeah.
I mean,
every day, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
After
easily.
they get done training.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we always talk about those sweats on and use that for your cardio. Mm-hmm. Hold those poses for, a minute at a time and just keep going through them. And then it's automatic.
Me and my kids always do a pose down after dinner every night. I'm still winning.
So you're getting pretty good.
I got the most muscular crab, but
you go.
Slowly tries to hit me with the double back by, and I'm like, whatever, dude.
He's a natural. He's got linebacker shoulders already.
I know, the guy's jacked.
Unreal.
But one of the things one of my favorite sayings is, "Don't be a backstage winner," because we're walking through there, and I'll see, God, that dude looks good. Oh my God, that lady, and you're like, there's no way that they're not going to win. And they walk out on stage and they just destroy themselves, bad posing. It's just they're, over posing, or whatever you want to call it.
Over posing is a real thing. When somebody gets to shaking, they can't hold the pose very long.
Right.
Also, people underestimate how tiring posing is for that amount of time. I've seen many people not be able to even hold poses long enough.
It's wild to see that shaking at times. Well, there's something so impressive about somebody who does a real slow motion, pose and holds it in a really calm, steady manner compared to the person who's like, ready to try to get their veins to bust out of their body,
And they're smiling.
Yeah.
Like, this is easy.
Right.
There's
something about when they can do a real effortless pose. It's just a beautiful thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. One of the best things I'd seen was I think it was the Yorton Cup several years ago. And a guy named Marshall Johnson, he's 54. And there's a new guy, God, I can't remember his name. Last name was Hill, I think. Anyway, he was only like 19, 18. Phenomenon, And he's out there. He's about ready to pass out. And he actually walks off stage, and he walks off. Marshall sees this. He's like, let's go. And he's like 54. And just, come on. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. He came back on stage, but kind of hurt him a little bit. But there he is. Look at that.
54 years old.
He's probably older there now. He's still doing it. I bet he's 60 right now. Or plus.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
So
amazing athlete.
You're in a spot where, you guys have been in this industry now for so long, 28 years promoting bodybuilding. Have you ever considered opening a gym of your own? Yeah,
we have. We've actually were approached by the OG up off of North Oak Travelway years ago, but there's a lot of baggage to go with it. We thought, no, we're not going to do that.
Sure.
I mean, we really thought about doing that at one time or another.
Some back taxes, if you will.
Gym business is a hard business.
Yeah, but it's not this one right now. I'm just going to say it was years and years ago. But it was a really good gym, and the thing's always been there. It's really never gone out of business, pretty much.
It's a phenomenal gym.
This is crazy.
It is a staple.
We love that gym.
Gym.
Yeah.
So you guys have lived in Kansas City your whole life?
Yeah.
So on every podcast, we have A very, very important question. The most important question of all podcasts.
And it goes well with him being in bodybuilding because just like in bodybuilding, you need a treat meal every now and then.
You need the cheat meal every now and then, John.
Oh, yeah.
You need the cheat meal every now and then.
Yeah.
Kansas City's known for barbecue,
Uh-huh.
right? You guys have a favorite barbecue spot? Where would you say your absolute favorite barbecue spot is?
Actually, Becky and I don't go out too much and go to barbecue places, but I'm going to say Jack Stack, been there several times. Really pretty good.
Jack Stack's
But
pretty good.
I will say Q39 sauce is pretty good.
Yeah.
I know you guys love that.
We love Q39.
Yeah.
I know.
We like Q39.
I watched a few of these, podcasts.
Last week's guest just absolutely bananas. Said he had just moved here, right? And he was just 2 places that he didn't like that he would try. And he's like, I tried a couple places. They weren't that special. We're like, oh, what 2 places? Like, where could you have gone?
Our 2 favorites.
And he was like, I went to some place called, I think, Jack Stack and then Q39. He dogged both.
Right.
We were like, no way.
Hey, I will tell you guys, and I don't know if you guys have heard of this one or not, Wabash, Excelsior.
You know what?
Oh, my God.
Wabash, I've heard.
In Excelsior Springs?
In Excelsior Springs.
Ooh. Might have to make the trip.
I had when I got to college in Springfield, Missouri, I was from St. Louis area. Across the hall from me was 2 of my really good friends that I made in college, John and Todd, and they were both from Excelsior Springs, and they said that Wabash was the spot.
It's really good.
We go stay at the Elms and then, hit Wabash up.
Right, right. But hey, they're a little guy, and Becky's actually from Excelsior.
They've been doing it for years and years, man.
Yeah. So it's a real spotty in stores.
Show us, Luke. Show us.
But I've got a couple bottles in my cabinet right now. There it is. I think it's the old train station
since
down there.
1997.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cool spot.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate taking your time, being on here, man. It's been a long time coming. We're so excited for the future, what you guys go and all that expansion you're talking about. And
where can people find you? Where can they find out more about, you guys' bodybuilding and the shows you guys have coming up? Where would they go?
www.nanbf.net. That's our main, of course, social media. You can look at this.
What's the Instagram page?
I believe it's ours is NANBF _ there's a gateway. There's a bunch of them. You pretty much put our name in there, you're going to find us, And John Arnold and whatnot.
I want to share one more story. Yeah. Luke, I want you to go back to that page you found of the photo of SuperSource. Find that photo. So my first time meeting John, I was 22 years old. And I came up to Kansas City to work a show for First Form, and it was the first time they ever brought out the glowing.
Oh God,
booth.
That thing was amazing.
It was unreal. It was the first of its kind.
Up?
Yeah.
What is this?
No one knew what to think.
That thing sucks to put up. It's terrible.
Well, imagine doing it for the first time ever, Kyle, where no one knew how. Right? And hey, Chris Bird, R.I.P.
Yeah.
But what a fun day this was for us.
SuperSource.
I know. I told them to put that up on purpose because that's part of the story. So I'm working for First Form, and this is 2012, I believe, or maybe 2011. And we at Supplement Superstores were really strongly considering coming to Kansas City.
Look at that nectar.
So I know, right? So we decided to show up. We decided to show up to this show as First Form, but we were really secretly also kind of plotting to see what was going on in the supplement store spots of Kansas City to see if it made sense for us to open up a store up here, right? And there was a Supplement SuperSource, as you guys can see on the screen if you're on YouTube. This was a real place. And what made it even more crazy was the owner of Supplement SuperSource actually was the top guy at another store across town called Supplement Source. And he left that store to open up his own because he got in a fight with the owner of some capacity and said, like, I'm going to go do my own. And he literally just called it Supplement SuperSource. And we felt like those, that meme of like 4, Spider-Mans all pointing at each other, because I'm like, dude, if we were going to come up here, what are we going to do? We got to change our name because there's so many. And so whenever we opened up in Shawnee, we were actually across the street from where SuperSource used to be.
Yep.
That's right. And people would come in and be like, you guys just move across the street? And we're like, what are you talking about? And there were still some shades of people who had been shopping there in the past. So just a wild time, but that was the first time ever meeting you. And it was a crazy dogfight, man. At the time, this was whenever you guys were having those bigger shows, like you were saying, 250 plus competitors. We had Complete Nutrition was there, GNC was there, Vitamin Shop was there, Supplement SuperSource was there, and Supplement Source was there. And we were just, in quotes, as First Form.
John, you ever had the nectar?
Wild.
No.
Oh, you've never had
I
the
never did
nectar?
the nectar, no.
Oh man, it's good.
I was a Beverly guy.
It's pretty tasty.
My God,
Hey,
nectar sweets, dude. Remember we found
nectar
when we
sweets,
found the
the
nectar
cookies and
sweets?
cream.
It was a double stuffed Oreo.
People would bring that in and they'd show me the ingredients label. I'd say impossible.
Yeah,
Impossible. It tastes like this.
It was the best damn tasting
was so
protein we'd ever
tasty.
had.
I wonder if it's still around.
Hey guys, I got to tell you though, when you guys put that thing up in the lobby,
The glow in the dark first form,
and it was so
booth.
big that nobody could see GNC on the other side. And I walk over and I go, "Oh, it looks like we better up our game." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good with that."
Couple of them tucked tail and left. They literally folded up their stuff and went home.
It was crazy. That thing was like
There it is.
Your own little
There it is,
store.
Luke.
Yeah.
Dead center. Hit us up. Nectar Sweets. Where's it at? Down one. Right there, second to the left.
Yeah, buddy.
That guy right there by Syntrax.
It would say on the label only for
Syntrax,
like
yeah.
people that were, gastric bypass patients. And I was like, I don't care. I'm still going to drink it.
It was so good, man. They had fuzzy navel, roadside lemonade.
Yeah.
That's a different era.
I'm never going to eat or drink anything that's fuzzy
navel
flavored.
Still don't understand that one.
Jesus.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Please tell Becky send her our best, and
Absolutely.
we're excited for you, man.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate your
coming
time.
on.
Hey, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, these guys are the best.
Oh, thanks,
I'm not.
man.
You guys have been with me from the get go here, and I can't tell you what that means to us. I'm not kidding you. This is the heart.
Thank you, man.
Hey,
we really appreciate
We
it.
love supporting. We love supporting, man. And,
It's really important for us to support local bodybuilding. You guys,
Right.
what you guys are doing.
you and Becky
it's-
make it very easy for us to support because of the way that you guys care and how you guys do things.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we appreciate how much you inspire others to get into this sport and appreciate fitness like we do. So, thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir.